The movie begins with disturbing images, and then Shay abruptly wakes up. Later, we discover that Shay lives with her friend Jasmine, and through their conversation, we learn that they are financially struggling. Just then, Shay receives a notification on her phone for a babysitting job, and is startled to see that it's the same house she has seen in her dreams. Later, Kate Simmons seeks out Shay and explains that she found Shay's application on Sitter Search. Shay mentions that she recognizes the place, and Kate clarifies that it's no longer a plantation and has been in the family for generations. Kate offers Shay $200 just to come and meet the kids, tour the house, and assures her that if she doesn't feel comfortable, she'll still be paid. Shay accepts the offer, and on the way to Hopkins estate, she informs Jasmine about it, but tells her she will not take a job babysitting a bunch of white kids at a plantation. Shay finally arrives, and Kate discloses that she is only there because her mother is dying, and she wants to be with her in her final days. Now, as Shay enters the house, the door closes automatically, and we notice some people standing in the bushes. Kate then informs her that they are renovating, so the connections are spotty, and it causes the lights to flicker. Shay notices some rifles there, and Kate tells her that these belong to her great-granduncle, who fought in the Civil War, and shows her his picture that was taken when his body was returned. After a while, Shay hears some voices, and she realizes they're coming from behind a wall. As she moves towards it, a girl named Blair asks if she can hear anything. Shay introduces herself and compliments Blair's smile. In response, Blair suggests playing hide and seek, given the many good hiding spots in the house. Shay agrees, and just then, something falls, and Andrew says that it didn't break. Blair leaves, and Shay approaches the boys, attempting to engage in conversation. They start bickering over a weapon, and Shay explains that a weapon like that is used against brave pirates, and the last one holding it has to walk the plank. Kate arrives, causing the boys to scatter, and when she inquires about the weapon, Shay informs her that it's a branding iron. Kate claims not to know where they got it from, and then departs. She throws the iron into the dustbin and washes Chase's hands, despite his complaints about the hot water. Later, Kate pays her the promised amount and expresses her hope that it works out because Shay seems good with kids, and Kate thinks diversity could be beneficial for them. Shay returns to Patrick, who was waiting for her, and they drive away. That evening, Shay searches for information about Civil War plantations and learns about Negro slaves. Jasmine approaches and asks her what she's doing, to which Shay replies that she's just looking up information on the Hopkins estate. Jasmine mentions she thought Shay wasn't taking that job. Shay clarifies that she's not, but finds it strange that she can't find any information on the Hopkins estate anywhere. Jasmine comments that sometimes Shay gets a little obsessive and starts digging into Civil War things, and then things get weird. Shay responds that this feels different, like there's something about this place that she feels drawn to. Later that night, Shay receives a call from Kate, who informs her that her mother may not make it through the night. Her husband is flying in, but he can't arrive until tomorrow, so she asks if Shay can come and spend the night. Shay is unsure, but when Kate mentions she will pay her $500, Shay agrees. She tells Jasmine that she's going to Kate's house for the night, as she's being paid $500. Jasmine, concerned, reminds Shay that she said she wouldn't take the job and asks her not to go. However, Shay, already having called the car, reassures Jasmine and promises to call her as soon as she reaches there. The taxi drops Shay at Hopkins estate, and Peter tells her to call him if she needs anything, assuring her he will be there. As Shay gets out of the taxi, she accidentally drops her keys, and Kate quickly ushers her inside the house. Before leaving, Kate instructs Shay to keep track of any movements by the kids, mentioning they should sleep through the night, except for Andrew, who tends to wake up randomly around 3 a.m. She also tells Shay that she will be back by noon, and if the kids wake up before then, Shay can call her, and she will talk to them. After Kate leaves, the lights in the house begin flickering, and as it becomes dark, an eerie entity appears in the house. She decides to go upstairs to check on the kids, and once again, we see the entity's reflection in the mirror. Shay discovers some drawings made by the kids, and then hears Blair apologizing to someone. She rushes to the washroom and finds Blair washing her hands with hot water, and when Shay asks her what she is doing, Blair responds that her mom told her to clean herself. Shay asks. Wash what off? To which Blair responds, her. Shay puts Blair to sleep in her room, and then she receives a call from Jasmine, who asks if she took the job to conduct her own investigation. Shay mentions they need the money and assures Jasmine that everything is fine, but adds that the little girl said something weird to her. Just then, Shay hears something in the house, and by looking at her face, Jasmine warns her that something is not right in that house. Shay shows her the flickering lights, but mentions that the house is old and has electrical problems. After disconnecting the call, Shay goes upstairs again, where Andrew appears behind her and tells her that he had a bad dream. Shay asks if he wants to talk about it, to which he shows her a drawing he made and asks if his mom is home. Shay informs him that his mom went to check on his grandma. Andrew asks her, "Then who is knocking?" To which she replies that it was probably in his dream and tells him to go to bed. Just as Andrew leaves, Shay hears knocking on the door, but when she goes to check, she sees no one outside. Only then does she hear Chase calling for his mom, and we see many people standing outside. She goes to Chase and informs him that his mom went to the hospital. Chase doesn't remember her, so she tries to jog his memory by reminding him they met earlier, and she is here to keep an eye on them until their mom comes back. She then receives a call from Kate, who asks her how everything is. Shay shows her Chase, and Kate questions why he is still awake at 3 a.m. and instructs him to give the iron to Shay, wash his hands, and go to sleep. Later, Shay hears some noise from the bathroom and gets startled to see that the tap is on, with no one around. She turns off the tap and notices her reflection in the mirror is a bit strange, but when she cleans it, it returns to normal. She comes out and starts researching Hopkins' estate on the internet. Just then, she receives a text from Jasmine asking for proof of life. Shay takes a picture and finds a helmet on her face, and suddenly she wakes up from her sleep, and Andrew asks her if she's okay. Shay notices that he is into history, and comments that it's cool, mentioning that she is into history too. Only then, she notices a photo in a photo album, and texts Jasmine that it's the same house with a different name. She then opens a drawer to get a spoon and discovers a doorknob in it. As she picks it up, Andrew asks her where she got that. She asks him if this is what was in his dreams, to which he agrees, and she says he dreams about the same door as she did. The light goes off, and she asks him where her mom keeps the extra, and notices someone passing by from the window. They both try to look outside, and we see an entity standing behind them inside the house. They turn back, but find no one there, and they notice that the knob is missing. Meanwhile, Patrick finds Shay's keys in his car and sets out to return them to her. Back at the house, Shay puts Andrew to sleep, after which she goes to Blair, who is unable to sleep. Blair tells Shay that she misses her best friend, whom her mother does not like because she is black, and she would not let her come into the house. Shay tells her not to be sad, and Blair asks her if she is her best friend. Shay says she could be, to which Blair suggests they play a game. Blair begins singing a song, but Shay suggests that it might not be a good song to sing, as there is a lot of history behind it. However, she then changes her mind and agrees to play with her. As they play, a horrifying sound interrupts them, and Blair says she is awake, so they have to hide. They both hide inside the closet, and Blair says she thinks she heard them, and Shay is not supposed to be here. Shay asks what she is talking about, to which Blair says she will kill her if she finds out Shay is in there. Shay finds all this funny and comes out of the closet, and suddenly, someone knocks her down and begins dragging her away by her hair. Shay screams for help as the entity drags her down the stairs, and then everything stops as she hits a wall. Shay runs away, and the doorknob on that wall is revealed, and as she tries to leave the house, she realizes that she is trapped inside, as all the exits of the house are locked. Terrified, she calls 911 for help, but the officer on the line says she can't hear her. Shay rushes to check on the kids and finds that Blair is not in the closet anymore. Meanwhile, Andrew and Chase hide in the closet, and when Shay comes there and asks them to open the door, Chase asks her to go away, as all of this started when she got here. Shay says she is going to get them out of there and asks them to stay in there until she gets back. As Shay comes out of the room, she hears Blair calling her from inside the bathroom. Shay goes to the bathroom to check, but the door gets closed, and the tap turns on its own. As she goes to close it, suddenly, that entity appears behind her in the mirror, and before she can understand anything, the entity tries to burn her face with hot water. Shay manages to grab a comb and break the mirror, causing the entity to disappear. Just then, she gets a call from Jasmine, who informs her about the house's history. There was a slave revolt, and a deranged woman got angry, went insane, and tried to kill everyone. Shay says she needs her to call 911, but Jasmine cannot hear her voice. The door of the bathroom then opens, and Shay comes out. And meanwhile, Andrew and Chase find that the door of the closet is locked from the outside. On the other hand, the entity appears in front of Shay, causing her to be terrified. However, she grabs the pressing iron and rushes to fight the entity, but it disappears. It then again haunts her, causing Shay to fall down the stairs, and she gets injured in this process. She then hears some people shouting and notices that the voice is coming from behind a door on a wall. Meanwhile, Patrick arrives to return her keys and knocks on the door. Shay tries to open the door, but only then she hears a horrifying noise from behind her and realizes that the entity has returned and is moving towards her. She gets aside, and we see the entity standing right in front of the door, and to distract it, Shay throws a fruit to the other side. Shay then finds an open window but cuts her arm as she tries to jump out of it, and only then a ghost appears in front of her for a moment. Meanwhile, Patrick finds another way to get in and comes to the window, but Shay tells him not to come inside and to call 911. However, when he tries to come in, a broken glass falls on his head, causing him to die. Shay then goes to Blair's room and finds her under her bed. She also hides there with her, and Blair tells her she must stay hidden or she will hear her. Soon after, they see the entity entering Blair's room and then disappearing. However, suddenly a helmet falls, prompting Blair to scream and run away from there, and the entity runs after her. The door of the closet opens, and Andrew goes out of the room, and during this, Jasmine also reaches there. Shay runs upstairs and finds Andrew there, and meanwhile, Chase locks his room's door. Shay brings Andrew into another room, where Andrew tells her that he sees that lady every night, and she always does the same thing, and since Shay got here, the lady has been angry. Meanwhile, Jasmine manages to enter the house, grabs a knife, and begins looking for Shay, and during this, we see that entity watching her. Shay then comes downstairs, and Jasmine asks her what happened. Shay tries to explain to her that there is someone in the house that killed him. Jasmine suggests to get out of here, but Shay says she can't leave because she is trapped, and only then the entity appears there. Shay asks her to run, and that they have to hide, and only then she notices that Andrew is left behind. Shay goes to him, but finds that the entity is now standing right in front of Jasmine. Shay moves forward to attack the entity, but accidentally stabs Jasmine with a sword, only to realize that she has made a mistake. Shay helps her to get up and leave the house, but as she throws Jasmine out, the gate closes. She then finds Chase standing at some distance who says she killed that lady. Shay tries to explain to him that she is trying to keep him safe, so he has to trust her, but Chase runs away and enters the secret door. Terrified, Shay also enters that secret place and finds Andrew and Chase there. As she gets some visions, she says she knows this place and asks them where Blair is. Chase grabs a helmet and asks her to stay back, and just then, she gets a call from Kate, who tells her that she is coming home. Shay tries to tell her that there is a crazy woman in the house, and knowing this, Kate gets worried and asks about her kids, to which Shay informs her that her daughter Blair is missing. Kate says she doesn't have a daughter, and Shay gets shocked to know this. She then gets terrified seeing Blair at the corner of that room, and Blair says her mom wants to hurt Shay, so they have to hide. Chase sees no one there except Shay and runs away, saying she is crazy like Andrew. Blair tells Shay that her mom only wants her, but the slaves will try to come for her first, so she has to hide until they come. She shows her a photograph, and here it is, revealed that Shay is actually the reincarnated spirit of Blair's best friend, Abigail, who was not allowed in her house because of her color. She then reveals a flashback, unveiling Abigail as one of the slaves once captive in Blair's mother's grasp, and Blair attempted to aid her escape from the house. Shay recognizes Blair's mother as the malevolent force trapping them in a spiritual loop, and to end the recurring cycle, Shay insists they depart together. However, The ghost intervenes, claiming she can't have her. Shay tries to run away from there with Andrew, and as she throws Andrew out of the house, Blair says don't leave her again. Now here it is revealed that when Blair's mother tried to stop Abigail from running away, she accidentally killed Blair. Shay, now out of the house, sees the spirit of Blair and other slaves in the cornfield, but suddenly the ghost woman grabs her by the throat and lifts her in the air. However, before she can press the hot iron on Shay, the spirit of the slaves catches her, and seeing the opportunity, Shay puts that helmet on that ghost's head, prompting the slaves to drag her into hell. Shay then watches the spirit of the slaves returning, and Abigail's spirit standing next to Blair, and then they also leave there. Kate shows up, and the boys run to her, and Shay stands and looks around at the house. And the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and subscribe for more content, and don't forget to share with your friends.